Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, transparenttradesolutions.com on a Friday. This is last day of July. We are having a rally today, but at the end of the day, we're just basically churning back and forth. Let's get right into the charts again. Subscribe to the newsletter. I'm going to be writing some interesting stuff. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, I will give you some trading ideas there. I've talked about um, rates. I've talked about gold and crypto and everything else. So you are going to get something out of the newsletter. So go ahead and sign up for that. I do it every Sunday. It comes out every Sunday afternoon. So look at that. Check the website. I've got some great new testimonials from my members. If you haven't been to the website lately, that's also in the link below. In any event, let's get right into the charts today, starting with the uh, chart of the S&P. We've got a mixed bag with the mega caps, as everybody knows. Apple missed, that's getting hit. On the other hand, Amazon and this week, we had four of the mega caps. It was a mixed bag, really. Amazon trading higher, um, and Apple trading lower. Yesterday, we had Meta trading lower and Microsoft blowing it out. Again, you continue to get this churn. What that does is basically putting the S&P right where we were last Friday. So, we've had all this volatility, and I go back to the same thing. It's just basically churn. What's going to get us to break out above, let's say 75.50 and get up to the new highs? That could happen next week. We'll see. Or do we just roll over and right back down again, making another new low? That's going to be an interesting situation. We're kind of in this uh, kind of transitional phase, maybe. The Nasdaq's also right back to the supply, trying to work its way through it. You definitely have, if you are a trend follower and you're drawing this imaginary line across here, you can clearly see we are still kind of, zigzagging, but with a lower trajectory. We'll see if that continues. We did hold this demand zone here. But as you know, next week can be entirely different. One of the things that's interesting is the Dow continues to bang up against this level here, and we'll see if that breaks out. Bitcoin dead in the water, nothing really to talk about, just continues to churn. Um, Coinbase is getting hammered today on some news on that related to the Bitcoin. VIX just, again, thought maybe we were going to get up above 20. I mentioned that in the news uh, letter last Tuesday in the last video I did. Looks like we just hit right up against 20. Are we going to head back down to 15? By the way, every time we've hit 15 in the last couple of months, the market has peaked. We'll see. The news today, I mean, we had the Fed meeting. Long rates are jumping. Looks like they may be headed to 5%. Uh, Last time the market freaked out when yields got up to 5%. We'll see today. They're just kind of shrugging it off again, kind of intoxicated by this is 5% rate. It looks like we're probably headed there. Um, we'll see. I'm watching TLT at 80. I actually wrote about that this weekend. Let's see if that actually peaks rates. That's something to watch. The dollar also falling sharply because of the yen. That broke down. We, in fact, bought gold yesterday. It's kind of pulling back a little bit today. It's a long-term trade. But if the dollar continues falling, if you were looking at gold, this may be the situation here. And the yen looks like it's maybe um, bottoming out. You can see that here as it rolls over from the weekly supply that I wrote about this several months ago. And again, looking at that longer term chart of the yen, this is the weekly, actually, if you just to put this in perspective, we're sitting right at that supply zone from back in 85. And people don't realize that the dollar against the yen was at 200 at some point back in the mid 80s. And now it looks like we're rolling over here off of that supply, which I've had marked out forever. And looks like the dollar's headed lower. This is actually the dollar index, believe it or not. The dollar index kind of tracking the yen, even though it's only 14% of the dollar index. So we will see if that continues. And that would actually be an inverse to this is the yen dollar in the futures market. That's the case, and we probably have a yen up until up to about 65.85 or so. Let's see if it takes out this high first and foremost. That's going to be an interesting situation. Gold not responding today, but it is basing out here. I think it's got to break above 4,200. If you want to, you are building this pattern here of lower high, so could be filling some kind of triangle or whatever and ready for a breakout up to maybe 4,400 or who knows. I mean, bottoms, you never know until after the fact, right? You could have made that same case here and then we ultimately did this, so you just never know until after the fact. But it is interesting how you want to anticipate some of this. By the time you figure it out, you're buying gold at 4,500, which could still be okay, but and then oil, we know where that's at. I mean, it's just news driven, probably going to have another gap this weekend, depending on what happens over the weekend. There's a gap to fill here. There's a gap to fill here. We had that big retracement and then another move higher, but I think it's still volatile. I could see oil hitting 95 or 100 if things continue to escalate and or if they come to some kind of deal. This is all just news driven. Just follow the levels, really. I think the first level you want to look at is probably 95, and then on the downside, maybe 70. I think we're going to be in a massive range here. Nat gas trying to bottom out, but it's just been a slog here. I think we overtake 280, this breakout point in the September contract. Then we may get a shot at, we're going to probably fill that gap here at some point, this 290. Then eventually the big level is going to be 3. But still, obviously, just struggling to get any kind of traction. Just kind of, but how nat gas is. Just out of the blue, it'll come out and start rallying, whatever. In the gray markets, I wrote about that a couple of weeks ago. We have wheat, big old range, and I was looking at the top end of this range. Didn't quite get up there still. I still have the alert. Now let's see, the bottom of the range is going to be 565. Six a bushel will be interesting. And soybeans, again, very volatile. But it did come right up to the top end of this range here at 1255. So all in all, we were coming into some seasonal patterns here in July and August and September that are not favorable for the stock market. That's one factor. Keep that in the back of your mind. What's going to cause that? Now we've got rates. I think if rates surpass 5 on the 10-year, that could be a trigger for some selling. Today is just kind of end of month window dressing. I think next week's going to be real interesting. We still have a ton of earnings. These earnings misses are getting punished. If you miss right now, your stock's going to get slammed. So those are where the opportunities in, like GLW, if you don't know that stock, that was a great opportunity when it got hit last week. It came down to 115. It's sitting at 140 right now. Those are the type of opportunities you're going to be looking for. In any event, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Take care.